for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
I got to get my crystals in place. How can I start the show without crystals in place? This is Fade to Black. How you doing, everybody? Today is Monday, November 10th, 2025. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Let's do this, man. All right. So we've got a short week on Fade to Black this week. Tonight, Dean Alioto's with us, and we are going to be talking about making disclosure films and his work as a filmmaker and a director and everything that he does. He's even done some acting, too, as well. And he says he plays drums. That remains to be seen. But for the rest of the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we are off air because I am TV production out shooting more beyond belief. Yeah, so it looks like I'm just going to give everybody the heads up that the way that the new scheduling over at Gaia is going to play out, instead of me shooting on Fridays, which I have been doing for a long time, and that goes all the way back like 3 years when we were shooting Into the Vortex. I always shot on Fridays because I had Fade to Black Monday through Thursday. So that's going to change. We are going to start shooting starting now Beyond Belief midweek. And it's just the scheduling and how everything is working out. And that's what they would like to do from now on and throughout 2026. So that's what we're going to do. I'll do one show on Monday, and then I've got to Fade to Black, and then I've got to go do Beyond Belief. It's just the way that it is, kids. All right, so I'll see. I'm just giving everybody the heads up. This is the schedule has just been presented to me. Okay, so I think what we will do, why not fill up the schedule? I'm going to take a look at it. I'll talk to Michelle, and we'll see if we'll do a show on Monday and do a show on Friday after I get back. Oh, man, it's a lot of work. But you know what? It's my bliss. You know, it's when you find it, you know, your feet under Dean and I were just talking about that during sound check. Finding your bliss, being happy. And this audience makes me happy. My next event coming up, I've got a fully slammed 2026. But the next event that is coming up is the Conscious Life Expo, which is February 20th through the 23rd, 2026 at the LAX Hilton. I've been hosting this event for the last 13 years. Tickets are now on sale at consciouslifeexpo.com. The tickets went live earlier this week. All right. Oh, I just wanted to say really quick, I went out to the Love Ride road out with a lot of friends yesterday in Castaic, and it was so much fun. And not only the music and the stage, but it's the people, it's the family, it's what the Harley community is. And to have that many, I have no idea, 5,000, 10,000 buys. I have no idea. It was a lot. In one place, just so many smiling faces and the music and everything else. It was so much fun. And so there's some pictures I've posted up on social media, which I don't do often, but they are there. All right. So that explains what I was doing out there in Castaic Lake. All right. Tonight, Dean Alioto is with us. And like I just mentioned, making disclosure films, making UFO films, making films about ET. Man, that's a good gig. That's a good gig. And we were just talking about the McPherson Tape. And if you guys haven't seen it, go and check that out. It's a really, really good film, found footage film. But he's got two documentaries out, The Alien Perspective and Life Beyond Earth. And you can get both now. And I'm sure they're both on Amazon. We'll ask Dean about that, but we've got the links for Dean below and over on our website and throughout social media. He's got a great eye for film. I like the way that he edits. I like the way that he frames. I like his interview style, and he has the best of the best. It's really, really cool. So we're going to be talking about all of that and much more. Here he is. You know, I normally say, Dean, my good friend, but although we're friends, right? You're like the guy I want to hang out with. You know what I mean?
I get that a lot. It's a burden.
Well, you look good. You're intelligent. You can carry a conversation. You are, you're the person people want to hang out with.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you. By the way, when you were talking about your crystals, I thought I was getting treated to a Christopher Walken impersonation. You said, "I've got to get my crystals lined up."
Did I really? I got to work on that. I got to work on that.
It's like a walk-in, like, someone walks into your soul. It's a walk-in,
Wow. Wow.
But, you're very, very kind.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And the beginning of this conversation is going to be easy and traditional because I am very curious about this, and so is everybody else. When I look at somebody that's had success at a career, that's able to go and get stuff done, you have to deal with funding, you have to deal with distribution, you have to deal with studios, you've got to have people say yes, you have to negotiate, and you're in that other world, that world of normies that we call Hollywood, which is nuts. But it's a whole nother thing to do this with a UFO aspect to it and an ET aspect to it. And the only way that happens is because of your dedication and something personal. What brought you in here? What was the thing? Did you have a crazy aunt, a crazy uncle?
I did, not related to that, but I did. I think what it was I always kind of harken back to where I feel like there were three moments in my life where my imagination was giving major fertilizer. The first one was the divorce. Being divorced parents. My mother, I grew up I was born in San Francisco, but grew up in Sacramento for a while. And my two brothers and my mother had moved to the Bay Area, back to the Bay Area. And I was with my father for 3 years. And for some reason, I would look out my apartment window, and I'd look at the stars. And as lonely as my life was, I felt like there was someone else that was out there that was probably going through the same thing I was. And for some reason, I took solace in the stars. All the flickering felt like heartbeats out there. And so that really kind of got me going and got me interested in sci-fi. And then I would say I had a great teacher who would read me science fiction or would read fantasy, like The Hobbit. That was terrific. But then, Spielberg, he's the gateway drug for everyone. Close Encounters. I'm watching a movie that is really almost a religious movie. It's spiritual. And there's no bad guys. And yet I'm gripped. It feels like a full-on action film, which it is, among other things. And so I saw that. And then when I saw E.T., I went, oh, I'm the screwed up middle child. This is my life. But it's celebrating what's, what would be a broken home. And it's bringing magic to it. And so when I saw that, how I felt, I wanted to instill that in others. And so that kind of, got me into doing this. And it's funny when you mentioned about how challenging it is to get movies made and all the distribution, all that stuff. All filmmakers want to do the same thing, hopefully, which is they want to tell a new story. And distributors and stuff don't always like that. Give us more of the same, but new. We just call it new, familiar. And that is actually a brand term. And so when I set out to do these documentaries, well, I've got some investors, but a lot's financing it, myself. It was an opportunity for me to do that. And so the first thing I did is I looked at all the documentaries I really dug, and I ran the other way to the other side of the room, which was, instead of looking at it from the usual perspective, which is all we have, which is the human's perspective, it was, let's go take a look at it on the other side from the alien's perspective as a hypothetical. Who would be interested in talking about that? Well, it turns out that there's a crap load of people, including Dr. Michio Kaku, who's in the first one, The Alien Perspective, and Dr. Dinah Pasulka, who was fantastic in Life Beyond Earth, the newer second documentary. So that's kind of how it all, that came about. That's my gateway journey.
I don't know if you've caught it yet. It just came out. Apple TV's got, it's so excellent, Scorsese documentary series called Mr. Scorsese. Have you seen it?
I have.
Okay. He talks about this exact subject. When he was trying to find himself early on, where he had stuff in his head, he had the vision, but studios didn't want that. They wanted just the normal thing and just go out and we'll pay you to, and I think he said it was John Cassavetes, and I know his Cassavetes' daughter, and I've been up to his house so many years ago. But anyway, so I've always been attached to Cassavetes, aside from his films, just a really cool guy. But he was the one that went to Scorsese and said exactly what you're saying. Yeah. Dude, is that the film you want to make? Then go make it. Because you just wasted a year of your life on bullshit. Right?
Yeah. He was like a father, and he goes, don't ever do that again.
Don't ever do it again. No matter what, go. And if this is what you want to do, go do it, which was Mean Streets. Right. And oh man. And it's so hard. Even, let me ask you this, because when I first started broadcast, and I was in school, one of our instructors who worked for CNN, by the way, so we have these adjunct professors come in and teach, for a couple of weeks and do their thing or longer. But he was in and he was teaching us about editing loops. Donuts is what they're called in news, which is a video that you speak in the center and then you have the video that's called a donut. Anyway, doesn't matter. I said to him, I go, and he was talking about the process. Your news director is going to give you a story and an assignment. You're going to go out and do it. And I said, what if you had a story about a UFO? Would you take that to your news director? He goes, what? Dude, I love my career. I would never do that. No, that's the kiss of death. Never, ever say UFO again. Kind of thing. I was like, well, I know what I'm going to do. If that's your advice, right? And throwing it back at you when you decided to make this, this kind of transition or do these parallel while you're doing other stuff. Did you get some reactions like that? What? UFOs?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because our generation, if I may say that and risk dating ourselves, it's only been recently that UFOs have been kind of cool in the way that it's accepted. And every single time, they do a clip, they don't always do the X-Files theme, And so, we were that nerdy kid that was into, Bigfoot, Bermuda Triangle, UFO. And so for me as a filmmaker, I wanted to tell those stories fictionally. I wanted to have actors and everything portraying real incidences. And then it wasn't until I would do documentaries for A&E Bravo that I started working in that space. And I thought, okay, it's time for me to take that skill set, that side of my career, and fold it into this. And so I feel like, I don't know, it's for me, my first film that I did, the McPherson Tape, that was based on reading Whitley Strieber's book and just freaking me out more than any Stephen King novel. And going, okay, this is truly terrifying. How would I tell this story? And so for me as a storyteller, which is what we are, even if you're in radio or, we're all kind of working from the same edges, coming inwards, telling stories. We bring people on and we want to discuss, and it's all fireside chat, right? It's campfire. And so it's, I don't know. I feel like it's something that is an existential thing, that we're not alone, that there's something else that's out there. And just the knowledge of that feels like we're a part of something much bigger than our lives. And so I kind of keep coming back to that, at least for me, my journey.
So you mentioned Christopher Walken with me.
Yeah.
You are Steve Vai.
Steve Vai.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow.
I usually get Jeff Goldblum. I'll take Steve Vai.
Yeah. No. Goldblum, kinda. No, Steve Vai.
Okay.
Steve Vai, who is an alien, by the way. He's an alien. He had an album. It's called Alien Love Secrets.
Mm-hmm.
And wow. And yeah, he's fully into it. Now, the other part of this is, it seems like, then we're going to dive deeper. It seems like it's almost a paradox making these comments like we are, but it seems like it's a pretty easy thing to get greenlit in Hollywood if you have some alien invasion movie. You know what I mean? Something like that. Those are coming out, probably once a week, twice a week. Something is released in that. You know what I mean? And it's almost a paradox.
Well, it was funny. I was talking, I think, to Leslie Kane about this because they've been trying to get her movie UFOs, Generals, et cetera, the long title.
On the record. Yeah.
On the record. Her thing going. And for me, I always want to see the latest and greatest of what is in the UFO news portrayed. And I told her, I was forecasting this. I said, there's going to be a plethora, a crap load of UFO movies coming because of, everything from the Nimitz deal to, what's going on even now with the Buga spheres. It's all fodder for filmmakers, but it's the way that they portray it, because I don't put a lot of stock in alien invasion movies, even though I've done them, because if they wanted to take us out, they would just send something that would be the size of a flea flying out with a pathogen and wipe us out. And they could program it, genetically, that it would take out all the humans, but leave the animals if they like the animals, et cetera. And so I feel like there is this kind of, observational thing, and without jumping ahead, but doing these documentaries, I started out, I always use the analogy like the Beatles. Paul McCartney is that they're coming from another planet. John Lennon is that they're coming from another dimension, and maybe George is that they're coming from, the future. And so there's all these different theories that you start to like. I like Paul Moore. I like, the extraterrestrial theory as Michael Masters has it. But I'm also interested in ones that I haven't heard. Like when I first met Lou Elizondo, the first thing I said to him is, I said, I think these craft are living, breathing. I think they're organic. And he right away, he jumped and said, yes, absolutely. And then I kind of doubled down and I said, it's interesting that people have seen loved ones, deceased loved ones on these crafts or near craft. And so that got me thinking that maybe they're traveling in the astral plane, where people will describe seeing ghosts and they say, no, it's as real, like I can touch it. It's as real as here. And then in a blip, they're gone, or you could see through them. And so if we could figure out technology-wise to be able to travel and change our vibration and be able to do that, it's great fodder for writers, but it's also good for us as truth seekers to test the mettle of them, and out there.
I often say that doing this show coast to coast, TV shows and film, that, and I've chalked up, Dean, this is crazy, 3,000 shows, right? That's insane, right? That's insane. But it's like going to college. You know what I mean? It's 12 years every night listening to a professor, right? Teaching a class, learning. And it's crazy how I have evolved on the subject. How have you evolved? Where did you start out and where are you now?
That's a good question. I think I started out just being blatant. We saw them in the sky. So obviously they come from another planet outside, from outer space. It wasn't until I read Jacques Vallée's book, Dimensions, and got a chance to meet him. He actually came to the premiere, and geez, this is a long time ago, for the McPherson Tape. We went out to dinner after, and all I wanted to do was talk about UFOs, and he just wanted to talk about filmmaking. But reading Dimensions just knocked me on my butt, because it was like, all right, hold on, I need to stop being so linear. And so at some point, I would say that, going to UFO conventions and science conventions and talking to people like yourself, it starts to become this intuitive thing. What resonates with you? And I'm still of the belief that it could be all of the above. We interview Dr. Nick Bostrom out of Oxford, who created the simulation reality hypothesis that we're living in a simulation. And there's merit to that. So it kind of changes, not like the weather, but it does morph into things. And so for me, I feel like where I'm sitting right now is that I'm actually more at peace with it than I've ever been, because I feel like there is some divine, if you will, divine plan that's going on. Does that mean that, something's going to happen? Does it mean Atlas, this and that? I don't think it needs to happen like that myself.
Yeah. I'm not going to debate you. I'm not, because I'm just going to repeat what you said earlier. All of the above.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of why I've seen so many things. Everybody has, right? Okay. But that doesn't mean you know what it is. Right.
Right.
That's
an important distinction. That's a very important distinction, because when I say it doesn't have to be like that, what I mean is it doesn't have to be this moment, because every time I'm on a panel, like Contact in the Desert, Linda Moulton Howe was talking about, she's getting 2027. And I made the joke in a nice way. Don't get mad at me, Linda. But I made a joke. I said, if I betted against every date that was ever given, I could finance my films, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because whether it's a moving target or it's just that for thousands of people, maybe millions, they've had disclosure with having, for experiencers, they've met them up close and personal. And so for me, the hearings, I'm not really interested in any more hearings unless they drop, a tailpipe of a UFO, or they drop an alien arm, or we start bringing experiencers into this. Why would you not invite the people who are, have, with very convincing cases, been face to face and communicating with them? And so for me, I don't know that it needs to be this cataclysmic, huge, event type movie situation. I think it can be something that's already started, and I think it has. And so I feel like it's going to be much more of a gradual thing, and we'll find ourselves in it. And that's just me reverse engineering where we've been. I could be totally wrong. And part of me really wants us to be wrong. I want that landing on the White House, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all want that. And is there anything now? Because, man, I just want to ask this properly, and I don't want you to take this the wrong way. Once you have exposed yourself, as you have, to so many different ideas and perspectives, and some of it gets way out there on the woo-woo scale, right? Is there a way to shock you now? And would the world be shocked with something? Or would they just go, well, you know what? Anything's possible.
All right. I always, when I think about getting something really valid, there's two things I think about. One is I think about how, if I look at a truth as being something that you need to kick the tires, or you need to go on a date with it. You're not going to give it up everything on the first date, like give your heart on the first date. It's going to take you a while. So you need that process. If you dive back in, then there's no discerning, there's no critical thinking going on, and God knows we need that. I mean, if I could change the DNA of humans, it would be to change them to have more critical thought these days. And because of all the distractions, and you can a la carte information, you can be parked at one truth, and that's it, and that's bad. And so for me, I feel like what shocks me, I talk to people about how they say they want to see, some of my friends, they say that are not involved in this. They go, I really want to see an alien. And I go, you do? Do you seriously want to see one? Yeah. I go, okay. And they go, but I don't want to see one on in the dark. That would be scary. And I go, fair enough. So imagine you're on your deck, if you have a deck, and you're sitting there and you've got an iced tea. It's noon and you're talking, yakking away on the phone, and you look to your left, and coming around the corner is a chimpanzee. And it just pokes its head out for a little bit, and then it leaves. How jacked up are you from having something so out of context? This humanoid creature, even though we've seen chimpanzees at zoos and stuff, it should not be there. And it disappears, and you get up and you go over and it's gone. That is a psychological break with reality. You know, it's like, you know, John Mack would, you know, had, you know, the perfect name for it. And it's, so imagine now an alien coming around the corner and poking and looking at you. What the human mind does, it's really interesting. There is a safety valve. It's a defense mechanism. It starts to erase some of the detail so that you can't really take it all in because it becomes too much. You know, ontological shock is what John Mack called it. That, I'm looking for that. I'm chasing that moment where I go, oh my God, this is it. But I'm girding myself because I don't, you know, want to have it be something that is so, you know, I think it gives you what you can handle. And I've gone to several alien abduction support groups, experiencer support groups with Yvonne Smith, her wonderful support groups. And I've been invited to go, and I've gone to like 3 or 4 of these, and I've even filmed there, and there's some footage of it in Life Beyond Earth, my new doc. And I got to tell you, these people were chosen. As much as that sounds hokey, they were chosen because they could handle this information. Even though they went through traumatic, you know, the 5 degrees of, you know, like a breakup of relationship, they went through it and they came out stronger because of it. So sorry, that was a long answer.
No, that's a great answer. That's a great answer. And what do we do, and how do you tackle the skeptical side of the abduction phenomenon? And the reason why I say it or ask the way that I do, I've seen what I've seen. I've experienced, I don't know if I've been abducted, but I've had, you know, I've got some crazy things. And so when somebody wants to talk about this, we need to stop and listen. It's a very uncomfortable subject to go and speak about. And then what happens? You have the skeptics and the debunkers flood in on this, which is exactly the fear that these experiencers have.
Yeah.
You know, is the ridicule. So how do you tackle that?
It's funny. I have some friends, one of them, good buddy of mine, who, when I first met him at Alien Con several years ago now, he was all in, full on. And then it's kind of like his heart's been broken by some people in the UFO community who have espoused that certain things are going to happen that didn't. And instead of editorializing them out of the picture, it becomes representative of the whole. And so I find myself having to kind of, you know, pull him back. I've had to be pulled back where it's like, okay, this aspect of it is just such BS. I don't even want to explore that anymore. And then I'll have, you know, someone come up, Dave Foley will go, Dean, now's not a good time to pull back. You got to get back in it, man. And so when I've got friends of mine or people that are skeptic, I just say, are you open-minded? And if they say, yeah, but I'm not about that, then I don't go any further. There's nothing to discuss. You have to have an open mind. That's all I need. And then I'll walk you through what is, for me, empirical evidence, you know, testimony, you know, sightings and stuff, and what isn't. And then they can decide. But I don't want to be that person that has to convince people. It's not my job to convince.
You never will, though. You
never will. Exactly. It's a fool's errand.
Yeah. It'll never happen. One of my, this is something I say a lot. I'm going to say it to you because we just said it, right? But you can never reason anybody out of a belief system.
Yeah.
You can't do it. No matter what the facts are, right? No matter, it doesn't matter. Religion, politics, finance, how to frame a house correctly, whatever it is, doesn't matter. You're
Yeah.
not going to reason somebody out of a way that they were raised, and that's it. All you're doing is cementing their belief
They
system.
fortify themselves. Exactly.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah. 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 It is interesting how people's beliefs are a reflection of their insecurities and fears. And what I mean by that is the most radical beliefs that they have stem from that, not a belief in, certain things, good versus evil, basic, broad things, but, things that are out there that are super, super conspiratory. Everyone I've talked to that I've heard that stuff, I can reverse engineer it to these moments of insecurity. And, it's funny. You look at all the billionaires. What do all the billionaires today, the most wealthiest people, what do they all have in common? All of them.
They've downloaded their consciousness for after death.
Yes, they've gone Walt Disney. They've all been
they've all frozen their heads. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. What did they all have in common?
They were all bullied.
Ooh. Even the ones that were born into trust funds?
Yeah, well, not to get political or anything, but if you look at, as an example, Trump, he was bullied by his father. That's documented. But I'm talking not about political figures. I'm talking about people like Elon Musk, who was bullied, treated as a nerd. His father, the stuff that he did, I had read his his biography. And
Bill Gates, I could see that with Bill Gates.
Gates, absolutely. Steve Jobs. One of the best movies made by any of these tech billionaires is Mark Zuckerberg. And Mark Zuckerberg, if you see The Social Network, this guy was, he wanted to be accepted at Harvard, the creme de la creme. And you have these, the Winklevosses, treating him like he's kind of nothing. You have other people treating him crappy, his girlfriend. But all of them, Jeff Bezos, all these guys were treated as nerds and they weren't star athletes. None of them were. And so, they say the meek shall inherit the earth. Maybe that's what this meant too.
Have you seen the documentary Tura? Have you seen that yet?
Tura.
No.
Tura.
Satana. Yeah.
No.
The B movie karate queen from the 50s. She did Faster Pussycat Kill. She was
okay. That's been her. Yeah.
Yeah, Tura. So that documentary, it just came out. It's really, really good. Just got out of theaters. Check it out. Anyway, that was her deal too. She had a rough childhood.
Yeah.
So she decided she was going to get even and use her co-stars as and just to get out that, just to get it out because of the trauma that she had growing up. And then you are forced into looking at your own life and then thinking about others and why do they act like they do? Right?
Yeah,
why?
It's hurt. There is wounding, great wounding. If you look at, as an example, Mackenzie Bezos, Jeff Bezos' ex-wife. What is she doing with her billions?
Giving it away.
Giving it away. She doesn't have that past. She doesn't have that insecurity. She doesn't need to build a rocket and put on a cowboy hat and go on it.
And be a dick.
Yeah, it's that shaped like literally a phallic symbol.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, she doesn't need that. And so
it's weird, the lack of empathy. I don't know what it's like. And I don't think you do either. I don't know what it's like to have $1 billion. Maybe you do. Okay, but I don't know what that's like.
Let's clear that conspiracy up right now.
Fair enough. But the lack of empathy and compassion for Earth and for children and for people and world hunger, they don't give a crap, man.
No.
So easily things could be solved. And maybe I'm being naive. Maybe it can't be solved easily, but it sure seems to me that money can fix a lot of things. and build a lot of schools and farms and heat houses and medicine and all of those things just with the wave of a hand. But I guess, I mean, do you ever ask yourself when is it when you have too much money? At what point do you just have too much?
All right.
I live pretty good. Okay. I do, man. I live good. I do. I'm not rich, but man, I don't need anything. I don't want anything. I don't. So add $1 billion to where I'm at right now. I think I could give a lot of that away.
Here's when you have too much. Here's when you have too much. When you start purchasing things only because other people cannot, which is why we have yachts. Yachts aren't that great. They're fun for a while, but you're not going to really live on that. You're not going to do your work. You're not going to raise a family on a yacht. But there's something about the big F you, I have a yacht, you don't. When you start doing that, that's when it's time to spread the wealth. And the thing that's funny is you get so much more out of sharing what you have with others. I had a great spiritual teacher who told me, I would see a homeless person. I would have pity and go, oh my God, that's so brutal. And I was part of this program. We would go out to downtown LA and we would feed the homeless. And the program was called Feeding Your Soul, because it was feeding your soul, literally. And he would say, don't pity these people. For all you know, this is someone that is 10 times more evolved than you and has decided to come back under these circumstances to learn a deeper lesson, whether it's karma, paying off some karma, or it's them trying to feel what it's like to have so many, things, the oppressiveness against you, and have an understanding, and then going into the next life. I always say that our existence isn't a sprint; it's a marathon. We need to allow ourselves to go several laps to get to something. We are evolving, somewhere. And Buddhists believe this. They believe that this whole experience that you and I are involved in, listeners are involved in, this is all one big school. And the good news is that all of the people who believe in this and have kind of passed this information on, if you will, they believe we're all going to get the finish line. We might not get there at the same time, but we're all going to get there. So when it comes to kind of, I guess, bring it back to the UFO phenomenon, we're seeing trailers and teasers by seeing these UFOs, by having these interactions with these beings, to something that's going to be phenomenal. But as far as joining a galactic federation, we're an 0.7 type species. We're not even a full one. And so I don't even think that Doorman lets us wait in line to get into the Galactic Federation Club. No, but that's not all of us. That's just some.
That velvet rope is staying locked.
Yeah.
Yeah, staying locked. No, you're right about that, though. I don't even think we're 0.07, if that's what you said, or 0.7. We're way below that.
0.7, yeah.
Yeah, 0.7, because my my neighbors across the street just installed solar. That's on their house, not around the sun, right? You follow what I'm saying? We're still working on that. We're not harnessing the true power of the sun yet. We're
not doing it right.
Yeah,
they literally had the panels around the outside, not on the roof.
But my point being, if we go with Michio Kaku's version of this, and others too as well, to fully harness the power of our sun versus where we are right now on Trailer Park Earth. You know what I mean? That's a ways out yet. That's a ways out. Okay. This is a great turning point. I wanted to get here. One of the things that I talk about a lot is how do we gauge what an advanced alien species are doing? We only have an example of one, us. So what are we doing? What, from their perspective, look at our perspective first. And our perspective is we have the James Webb, we have TESS, we have Hubble. We're looking at and searching for exoplanets and looking into their atmospheres. We can get out there a pretty good distance. But what we are doing is we are looking for stuff out there, alien life, evidence of that. We want to know these things scientifically, not what you and I have seen in the skies, but that's where we are on an evolutionary scale. ET, from their perspective, has to be doing the exact same thing. And if they are more advanced than us, then they, thousands and thousands of civilizations know about planet Earth. How do we teach people to switch around their perspective from our view to the aliens' view looking back?
All right, there's a couple ways I believe we can do that, and we explore this in the documentaries and other aspects of it. We can do it by, I would say primitively, by looking at the species that we are more evolved than ourselves and seeing where we came from, reverse engineering, which is really weird because, you know, we come from, whatever your belief is, we have fossils that appear to show that we came from the sludge. And here we are, you know, millions of years later. And, you know, where we're headed. But with technology being where it's at, technology has surpassed our ability, our emotional evolution. And so when you look down at us and you see that what we are, which is we're still having wars, we're still having borders, we're still basically saying these people are good, these people aren't, and saying with a whole swath of people, whether it's where they're from, religion, color, etc. We're still doing that. This is extremely unproductive. This is not taking everyone, making sure that everyone is set up, everyone is all good to go. Once we do that, where we look at someone and we go, oh, that person is an extension of me. When we get to that place and we've all collectively gone there, we will be doing things like going to Mars, no problem. We will be doing things like going off planet, and we will figure out at some point how to go faster than the speed of light, or fold time, or change our, matter where we are here and relocate, somewhere else. That is going to happen, but we have to go through this stage. And so when I think of an advanced species, I think they've already gone through that. I don't think that they came out fully formed and like, oh, we had this great enlightenment. I think that they had to go through that. And so the good news is that they survived that, right? And
well,
so,
isn't that the ultimate question for ET? How did you guys do it?
How did you do that? Which, contact. It was something that that Sagan was wrestling with. But I think that's an indicator that they can do that. So when they look at us, I think their perspective on us is, oh, they're in kindergarten. They're still working it out. Hopefully they don't blow themselves up and they, join us. But this is part of our schooling. Mm-hmm. You don't learn anything. You know this. You don't learn anything from your successes. You learn from those things that are your weaknesses, things that you need to work on, stumbling things, examples. Those are the things that we learn. Those are the things that are ingrained and shore us up to continue, advancing. So we have to allow ourselves. I keep butting against people that are very impatient. The aliens need to come down now. We need to join the brotherhood, this and that. And I say, I think they are selectively with like, when I go to UFO conventions, I look and I see a lot of open-minded people who do care what other people are doing and how they're getting along, right? I would say that that's a predominant trait that I hope is there. But again, it's, it's lame, but it's the old thing. We're only as strong as our weakest link. And until we work that crap out, we are still going to be a planet that is too dangerous. Not to mention, what do we do with our celebrities? We bundle them up, we hold them up, we put them up on a pedestal, and then at some point, someone goes, and they push the pedestal down, and they topple them.
And we relish it.
And then we give them another shot later on, and then we knock it's a crazy, vicious cycle. So for them, I think their perspective on us is that they do see the potential. They do see that love. I mean, my daughter, I'm going to drop a plug for my daughter's boyfriend. He's in the band Lord Huron, and we went to a stadium to see him play. And I'm looking at all these people, and he's up there, playing the guitar, doing background vocals, And I'm looking at, and I've known this guy since he was a kid, in high school.
You told me about this. We talked about this.
Did we?
Yeah. Continue. It's coming, but this is a wonderful finish. I remember this.
So I'm looking at everyone puts up their phones and they're not using it for this. They're doing the light, like the lighters. And I'm looking at, and this is at the LA Forum, the Kia Theater. And you know it really well. And I'm panning my camera going across all of this, everyone. And I'm nudging my girlfriend partner, Allie, and I'm going, look, and my daughter, Ruby, look at all these people. They're all smiling and taking this experience in, because I believe when you're singing, you're expressing your soul. And there's nothing more tender. What makes me cry is a really good voice. I'm a baby. I just lose it. And I'm looking at all these people, and I have it documented, and they're all just smiling and taking this in like a meditation. And I go, that is humanity at its best. Or when there's a crisis and people are doing the assembly line of getting rice out and everything. That is humanity. And we have that as much as we have the ugly parts. So I don't know where I went with that.
No, I often think about the metaphor is always laid out from the people with PhDs that ET would look at us like bacteria. What could they teach us? Could we, or do we ponder looking down at an ant farm going, okay, you guys ready for the internet?
Yeah.
Well, you can't do that, right? And that comparison is always made, but it's a good one. What could we understand? If you ask ET, okay, we want the technology of how you're traveling faster than the speed of light. Give it to us. Do you honestly think that we could understand that at our level of things, whatever that may be? I'm not so sure that we would understand.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. First of all, anti-gravity, which is what they're using. I mean, that's the basis. However, they're getting them to move back and forth, up and right. I think they're skipping time myself, because it makes sense that they could go from here to this. So they're moving inside their craft at the same speed, which is this gliding speed, but they're relocating, in my opinion. Anti-gravity can be weaponized, and we can be taking people that we don't like and send them off the planet and countries. So that's not good. So we're not ready to really understand that. Emotionally, temperamentally wise, we're not able to handle that, I don't think. So with regards to that specific question, could we understand that? We have to be in a different frame of mind to understand that. I mean, I've been to MIT and Caltech and talked to some of the professors there. And it's like they're on the spectrum where they can understand things, like Dr. Diana Powell with the telepathy tapes. They are understanding things that we can't comprehend. But a sign of a good teacher, which I think these beings are, is the ability to be able to communicate that lesson, to be able to help them achieve that. Dr. Michio Kaku says in the second documentary, Life Beyond Earth, he says, I don't think that they would waste their time with us, aliens. I think that they would look upon us as ants and maybe even step on us if they wanted to. And then you cut to Dave Foley's bite, and he's saying, that I don't think that's true, because we have entomologists. So it's not a good equation. So we should tell all those people, why are you bothering with ants? They can't talk back to you. They're learning from us, I believe. Maybe not as much as we could learn from them, but they're definitely learning from us. I believe that it's this two-way thing. Otherwise, they wouldn't swing by and do drive-bys and stuff.
Well, for sure. This is a beautiful blue planet. Of course, they would want to visit and check us out. Just for a scientific investigation only, that would make a lot of sense. Yeah. But here's my Pandora's box, though. This is my Pandora's box. Those good folks at Caltech and MIT and Stanford and wherever you want to point, right? Harvard, they operate in the current laws of physics box, right? And if it violates that, then no. That's the answer, right? No, violate all laws. Okay. So they stay right there. if it comes down to ET going, look, this is how we do it. We think about it. Our consciousness opens up a wormhole and we cross a galaxy like that.
Yeah.
Now, do we have that tech? No, we don't. Will we have that tech? We have to evolve into that.
Yes.
But what if it's something like that that is beyond numbers and beyond equations and beyond what science wants to study, which is consciousness? It could be something as fundamental as that, right?
I endorse that 100%. It is, when you think about where technology is gone, it comes from having spokes, right? And engines and combustible, all this stuff. And then you get to a point where you're doing solid state, where everything is almost one piece. It is, I think it is as simple as, and experiencers have confirmed this, is as simple as manifesting, believing, wanting to do stuff. People talk about how these craft operate, and a lot of them say it's telepathic. I think that the mind, and again, these experiencers, I keep going there. My next documentary is all about experiencers, so I'm in the thick of it. But I keep going to the fact that when experiencers are with the beings, they always, for the next week or two, have heavy telepathy side effects, where they'll walk by someone and they'll have this weird feeling of, oh wow, this person's grandfather is dying or their sister's dying, whatever. It stays with them for a little bit, but it's interesting how it doesn't sustain. And so I think it's something that, when you look at how molecules are and matter is, I think that it is a leap that we can't intellectually get there yet. So I'm endorsing what you're saying. I think that we're not quite there yet, some of us, and I think there is a portion of people that maybe could handle it. But again, it's like giving a child a gun, or a computer who's 3 years old, 2 years old these days, because they're on it when they're 1, and saying, "Can you build me a software program?" They will eventually understand that, right? But not at that moment. And so when I think about their technology as a fictional writer, sci-fi writer, I love to think that it's something that is a connection, like when you yell at water crystals, how they've been able to see that you do that. You send it, negative energy, it becomes this grotesque, fractured thing. And then when you send it love, it becomes this beautiful thing. That's quantifiable. So we haven't even tapped into the power of the soul and positive thinking. And I'm not talking about The Secret. I'm talking about being able to manipulate things that are outside of you. And so I don't know. I just feel like we will understand that when we let go of everything else that we've learned. Sometimes you have to unlearn things. We have so much crap to unlearn. I don't know how we make that space right now for it. I know
it's so we've got ourselves so buried now.
Yeah.
But here's the crazy part. I don't like to agree with my guest. I like to argue with them so we can elevate the conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah. Mix it up.
But I have to agree with you here. But right.
There's a but.
But there's a serious but there. And that is the world of science will not touch consciousness, will not discuss physics. No, it is the most agnostic, atheist, non-spiritual. Everything is chemistry and numbers, right? That's the world they live in, and there's nothing to see here because they can't measure it. They don't want to talk about it. All right, but they will tell you that if you look at a particle, you can change its state by observing it. It's like, what kind of bullshit is that? You can't have it both ways, right? You are talking more woo than the woo-wooest of my woo-woo friends by saying that.
It's branding.
Right.
It's just branding. That's all it is. It's using a jargon that fits for them, that they can look at it and go, okay, that's safe now for me to go there. I laugh my ass off when I talk to some of my buddies that are professors, and they'll say, no, that's just not possible. And it's like, no, you don't know what isn't possible. Even Einstein allowed for things, spooky science. It cracks me up, the hubris of it. And we have broken recently. We found ways to expound on physics. So the component that I keep going to, maybe it's next level or too esoteric, is that we have within us the ability to do things, to change things that we don't tap into. And until science becomes holistic, it's always going to be this against that, because the rules are set up that unless I can repeat this experiment in a lab, it doesn't exist. It's not real. And in the meantime, somewhere on this planet, something insane is being done right now. No problem. And no one's having to go through and certify it or get it published in order for it to be real.
Right before you and I were at a conference, and right before you came up and had breakfast with us, right before that, I wish you were there, because this is exactly what we're talking about. A friend of mine comes up, I don't want to name names or anything, but you know who this person is. And professor, he comes up and he goes, so Jimmy, and he's got this friend with him, I want you to meet blah, 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 theoretical physicist from blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, okay. All right. It's good to meet you. And I said, hey, man, I have a question. He goes, look, man, I'm only doing this because of him. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to talk to you. And I go, well, I'm interested in science too. He goes, man, I swear, Dean, this is not metaphor. Okay. He said, I have a career path. I'm going places. I have funding to consider, and I'm not going to talk to you about anything, especially UFOs. I go, wow, holy crap. And I don't want to say that he was angry, but he was coming off that way. I don't know his personality. Maybe he's just that way. I don't want to suggest anything, but it was the way that I was shut down. Because I said, man, no, I'm interested in the James Webb and the expansion of the universe. And man, I love these conversations. I'm not going to talk to you. I was like, wow. Oh, man.
Well, you said, did you hear the one about the two Bigfoots that go into a bar with the alien?
This is going to be good.
No, you get that a lot. In fact, when we did, so in the Alien Perspective Part 1, and it's carried over in Life Beyond Earth, we have some material that's exotic material, and we have it analyzed, and we do a Pepsi challenge, which is we don't tell the professor at Caltech what it is. We just have them go and analyze it. We had 3 samples. Nice. And so I didn't look for someone who was already embedded in the UFO community, already interested. I wanted someone who did one thing and one thing only. Because there's a lot of professors out there who do all these different things that don't really relate to metals, and they, give it their opinion because they have somebody, whatever. This guy, all he does is look at extraterrestrial material. He looks at comets, asteroids. That's all he does, is he analyzes the material, and he is
moon rocks. Yeah.
Yes, he's a pioneer in this field and has been able to date them where others cannot to their origin. And for me, that is what I want. I want someone who doesn't believe in this stuff, sometimes in the intellectual, in the conversation. I want them to come in and say, here's what I know. Here's what I know is possible. What is it? And then I like to say, what if this could happen? What if this could? How would that go? And all of a sudden you see the little kind of kid in them, the imagination gets sparked again, because they're not just referencing something that's been cataloged. And this guy, I mean, it's for him, that's right. He's threatened by that because he doesn't want to be controversial. He's got his path, and that's more important to him. Good luck. But at some point, I see a lot of these people that will come to these conventions and stuff. They're being dragged. They start to have a change of heart, and they get to retirement age or tenure, like John Mack did, or again, Michael Masters, where it's like, no, I'm doing this. I don't give a crap anymore. This is of interest to me. So
yeah, Lenny Susskind did the same thing. As he got up there and he said this famous quote. I love it. I was this presentation. He goes, "All right, what does a theoretical physicist do as he moves on from tenure. He starts talking about time travel. And that's what I'm going to do tonight. You know, he said, you can tell when they're getting up there, right? Where they just don't care anymore. These are the real things that interest them. They haven't been able to talk about, what creationism, or, is everything determined, or is it all math, or is there something else going on? Is there a spiritual component to this? What is consciousness? What happens after we die? Where does it come from? These are things that everybody thinks about. You don't talk about them.
Right.
It's a big difference. Dean, stay right there. We're going to take our break. Our guest tonight, Dean Alioto, is with us tonight. He's got 2 films out, 2 documentaries. Those are out. And of course, he's got the McPherson tapes, which is, do we call that found footage? Is that the genre?
Yeah. It's been labeled as the first found footage film. I made it 10 years before Blair Witch, and the footage, I guess, it was meant to look like it was found. So I guess by definition, you're right. It's found footage. Yeah.
You're the founder of found footage. We'll be right back after this short break. Dean, you stay right there. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Stay with us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get your alerts and access to over 2,000 videos. Click that subscribe button right now. Go to jimmychurchradio.com and get the Fade to Black official podcast. 2,000 episodes, all of them commercial free for just $2 a month. I am hosting, speaking, and presenting once again for the Conscious Life Expo, the largest conference of its type in the world. February 20th through the 23rd, 2026 at the LAX Hilton. Speakers, event, and schedule easy. Just visit consciouslifeexpo.com. I will be hosting and speaking at the Sedona Ascension Retreat, March 20th through the 22nd, 2026 in Sedona, Arizona. An amazing list of speakers, and it's beautiful Sedona. Come and hang out with us and just go to SedonaAscensionRetreats.com. I'm heading back to the Midwest for the Contact Modalities Expo, May 1st through the 3rd, 2026, in Delavan, Wisconsin, at the Lake Resort. It is beautiful. This is a great conference right in the heart of the Midwest, where I'm from. I'll see you there. Just go to Contact Modalities Expo, that's XPO.com. I will be hosting and presenting once again at Contact in the Desert. That's May 28th through June 1st, 2026, the largest UFO conference in the world. Come and hang out with us June 23rd through July 1st. Tickets and everything else that you need is at contactinthedesert.com. Want to change your life? Want that paradigm shift? Then visit Peru with Brian Forrester and myself for the Inca Celebration of the Sun, June 23rd through July 1st, 2026. A full 10 days of visiting the country, all of the amazing sights, and of course, the celebration of the winter solstice. It's all simple to do. Go to hiddenincatours.com. Come join us for the Monty Python Scotland Tour, August 1st through the 9th, 2026. This is a once-in-a-lifetime event where you get to go to the castles from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. August 1st through the 9th, 2026. Just visit HaleyARamsey.com. Watch Into the Vortex on Gaia TV. It's Fade to Black for the screen. Simple to do. Go to Gaia.com, search Jimmy Church, or click on the link below. Follow Fade to Black on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Get all of the show updates every single day. It's now called X, but who cares? Go to jimmychurchradio.com and become a Fadernaut. Get a membership. That's right. Everything is commercial free. You have access to downloads, and you get to call yourself a Fadernaut.
Jimmy Church Guy TV, Fade to Black, here at Machu Picchu with Brian Forster and Hidden Inca Tours. Amazing tour so far, Brian, but we're here to announce what we're going to do next year in 2026. What's going on?
Okay, November 2026, we're going to have our major tour of Peru and Bolivia, either a pre or post tour of Paracas and Nazca on the coast. And then after that, 6 days in Easter Island.
Bucket list, Easter Island. Come join Brian and I and his amazing team here at Hidden Inca Tours for Peru, Bolivia, and Easter Island. Signing out. Say goodbye, Brian.
Bye, gang.
River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Truly the best coffee on planet Earth. Just visit rivermoonwellness.com or their Amazon store. It's all simple to do. You can check out the Fade to Black blend, the Game Changer blend, or any of their Black Moon wellness products. It's the only coffee I drink. It is the best, and it's Doc. Again, rivermoonwellness.com. All right. Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. It's a short week this week. Tonight will be our only live show. I am off shooting Beyond Belief in TV production for the next few days. All right. So short week, but a great week because tonight we have Dean Alioto with us, filmmaker, director, and an actor sometimes too as well. So, Dean, I am not somebody that's on here every night speculating about what's going on in the skies. I have seen what I have seen, and that has put me on a path to finding answers. I've seen extraordinary things. Have you? Have you seen something extraordinary that you can't explain?
I've seen two things. I'm very, the metric that I hold for seeing something is, I think, maybe more stern because I'm harder on myself than maybe others that have had, that have footage of things that I've seen that I've gone, wow, that's insane. One of them was Silver Lake, walking around Silver Lake. It was funny. I had just been invited to come and speak at the International UFO Congress Convention where the McPherson Tape had played 25 years before then with the credits edited out and was being purported to be actual footage of a family being abducted. And it was believed and everything else. So I was invited to go back. And I swear to God, 2 days later, after I was invited, I'm walking along the reservoir and I look up and Allie and I see this metallic, almost diamond-shaped object. And I videotaped it way in the distance, zipping around like it would be here, go like this, and then disappear, and then pop up over here. And I'm looking at this, and I'm gut checking it with Allie and saying, "You seeing that?" And she goes, "Yeah," but it's so far away, and even with my video zooming in, I can't really get a fix on that. But if you go to my YouTube channel, Dean Alioto, you can actually see the footage, and I've done a little ring around so you can track it. And I invite people to comment on it. And a lot of people said, well, it's birds. Birds aren't grayish metallic that I'm aware of. So the other thing that I saw, and that went on for like 4 minutes. The other thing I saw was in November. I was looking out my window here, and I saw something, which is something that I use sometimes, which is drones to get great overhead aerial shots of action scenes that I'm filming. And I look at it and I go, oh, there's a drone there. Oh, there's 2 drones. That looks like 3 and 4, 7 drones. over Silver Lake and just beyond, flying in the sky. When I got my camera right away, it's like, okay, what, but the drone flap hasn't happened yet. I just see that there's got a bunch of drones out there, and I'm like, is someone teaching people how to fly drones? Because you only need one, maybe two at the most. But they're getting super bright and then going off, super bright and going off. And I'm looking at this. You can hear my commentary. I posted them on TikTok. You can, literally, it's a 4-minute clip, and I broke it up into like 3 clips. But it gets weirder the more I'm looking at it. And at some point, I go back inside, and it continues. And then the whole drone flap happens. And so I did not put any special sheen on this. I thought it was some prosaic thing. And it wasn't until the drone flap happened that I went, hold on. And I looked at the footage, and it had this whole new meaning. Now, whether I'm putting that meaning on it because of the association of the Jersey drones, right, which I'm sure is a factor, but I've showed it to other people, and all of them are like, can't be helicopters because they can't fly that close together. And some of them would get bright and then completely like go out and come back. So those are the two things that I've witnessed. I almost wanted to say that I've been allowed to witness.
Right. A couple of years ago, something similar happened to me. I live out here in Palmdale next to Skunk Works, and there's strange stuff all the time. I was at the Love Ride yesterday, and I'm with a group of friends that I ride with. And they're wonderful, from Antelope Valley, Harley Davidson, and the husbands and wives and stuff. And so we're there at the Love Ride, and they didn't know what I do. A couple people do, but it's not like I walk around going, "This is what I do." I don't. But somebody says something to one of the wives, and the next thing you know, Dean, we're sitting there. It's like, I don't know, half a dozen of the wives and I sitting in the grass talking about what happens in Palmdale. And it was just interesting to me to get this feedback from them about the craziness out here. Well, about 2 years ago, year and a half ago, we were in the middle of another annual meteor shower, and I went outside. I have a 2-story house. So the second floor off of my bedroom, I have a balcony, right? Sliding glass doors. I have a chair out there, night vision and telescopes and stuff. And so it's
handsome special.
Oh man, you have no idea. You got to come out here, man. It's great. So we're neighbors. So come on out. So I go out there to look at the meteor shower, which I'm seeing in the sky, but right in front of me is Skunk Works. Let me change my camera. Right in front of me is Skunk Works. And above Skunk Works is this white thing doing this, right? Above Skunk. But I'm looking for the meteors, and this thing is there, but I thought it was a helicopter, and it was white, and not high, 1,000 feet off the ground, right? And it's doing this and zigzagging, but staying in this box right above Skunk Works. And as I'm watching, it's quiet. I'm listening now. Now it's got my attention, and I'm listening for helicopter blades or a motor, something, and it's quiet. It's not far away. It's a mile away. And then it comes right over my house. It just stops its pattern and comes right over my head. And I'm looking straight up at it, underneath it. 1,000 feet above me, 500 feet, 1,000 feet. And it's 3 lights, white, that are strobing brrr, brrr, really fast, like Studio 56 in New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like that, disco lights
in the 70s.
Yeah, right. You've been there. So, but and I'm looking right up underneath. I couldn't see a shape, but the 3 lights are always going to be a triangle, right? There's 3. If it's 4, it could be a square, but it's 3. Look, silent. And then I watch it go back and do its thing. Now, I got bored. I didn't even shoot a video. I went in the house, watched this thing for like 20 minutes, maybe a half an hour. And now that was something being tested over at Skunk Works. I'm convinced of that, right? It's some technology. But if that was over any city in the United States, people would lose their minds. You know what I mean? It
Oh,
was
yeah.
crazy. I saw the tech myself, and it was dead silent. When it was above me, 50 feet maybe across, I can't judge. I don't really know, but it was big. You know, it wasn't a little commercial drone or something, quadcopter. This was something very big. And I would say that the lights that I was seeing might have been its engine, its propulsion system. I don't know. I don't have a clue. I don't have any insight on this. But just imagine that mixed into what was going on in New Jersey or over Vandenberg or what have you. People don't know what they're looking at. If I don't, what's Joe Citizen going to think?
So can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So you're looking at this thing. Do you have any sense at all that it's looking at you?
Yes. That's exactly great. Quite, Dean, you should make films. You should.
I should look into that.
You should, man. Let me tell you why that's a great question. Because as I was watching it do its thing, right, in its pattern, right, and that thing stopped and came right over my house. Didn't go to my name. Didn't go right over, just right up. I was like, it flew over to me, you know.
Yeah.
And I really, I took a lot away from that. I had called Dolan. I had Dolan on the show later on that week, but I told him all about it, and he asked me the same thing. Was it for you? I don't know if that was a coincidence. You know, why did it fly over? Did it fly over because they knew where my house was and it was Lockheed and they wanted to show me their shit? Yeah, that's possible. Is it something else? Was there a conscious connection? Possibly. I don't know, but it flew right. I'm talking about 90 degrees straight up.
12 noon above it.
Yep.
Well, it's interesting because when you listen to Commander Fravor talk about the first time he sees the Tic Tac, you know, when it's over the water and it's got that submerged object is underneath it, he says it turned and looked directly at him. He's saying that a craft is looking at him. He's not saying it turned and was facing in my direction. It looked at me.
Why would he say that?
Right.
It
was aware. There's a consciousness that's going on there. When Dave Foley was with Jeremy Corbell, I believe this is Jeremy's first time as well. Dave Foley had never seen a UFO, and Dave made the comment, jokingly. He said, "God, tonight's so beautiful. It would be really great to see. This would be the perfect time to see a UFO." And literally within 30 seconds, Jeremy says, "Dave, take a look behind you." And they look up and they see this thing. Now you go, "Oh, well, why the hell didn't Jeremy pull out his phone? He's a documentary, you know, he's a filmmaker. Why didn't he do that?" It wasn't for that. It was for them. And Dave felt like it was kind of letting them know, no, here's some validation. This is real. Continue going. And you're on, you know, whatever your path you should be on. But here's a little acknowledgement. I hadn't gotten as blatant as that, but I did talk to Yvonne Smith, because these documentaries, and I have 2 more coming out, and I don't know if there's going to be another documentary after this, because it's been 8 years. It was supposed to be 9 months, 15 interviews. It's 67 interviews. Yeah, you're laughing because you've heard this story many a times. You get stuck in the rabbit hole. 8 years, 5 countries, 67 interviews. And when I'm editing the footage, I am having this experience, and Allie can see it from the other side of the room. My eyelids are flickering. And I only get that when I'm doing, you know, like when I've meditated in the past, when I'm going to like a meditation retreat with, you know, someone who's really powerful, and I'm getting that. It's too much energy. It's coming through. But I say to Yvonne, I go, "Yvonne, why am I making these documentaries? I know that I'm interested in this, but it is taking up my life, funding everything. I'm doing things that I've never done as a filmmaker before, which is extremely satisfying. But why? I've come through my past. I have no missing time that I'm aware of. I haven't really seen, had that big experience. And she laughs at me and looks at me like I'm an idiot, which is fine.
That's
And
famous last words, man.
Yeah.
I used to say the exact same thing.
And she goes, Dean, they don't have to knock on your door to get to you.
Right.
And so I feel like I'm kind of, people talk about the muse, and before Socrates and everything, they would say if someone was writing a great play or singing a great song or poem, they'd say what great muses they have. Well, this is all they're doing. I feel like I'm kind of in a sidecar. My goal is to shut the hell up and to push buttons and get things where they can. And so I feel like I'm being of service to something that, hasn't shown up at my door yet, but is showing up in my, my creativity and my mind, I guess. I don't know.
I was out, this is probably 10 years ago, and I'm out in a rented cabin in 29 Palms, Joshua Tree, out in the middle of the desert, right? Way out there. And we're having a party, and I've got about 15 or 20 people there. And two people that you probably know, Steve Murillo and Alex Mistretta, are there. And we're out on the patio, stack of pizzas, beer, tequila shots, all that stuff's going down.
Awesome.
And it's about 10 o'clock at night. And somebody says, hey, man, wouldn't it be cool if we saw a UFO? Dean, at that moment, from the desert floor, a couple of 100 yards away, this white ball of light goes pew, into the stars. And we're all standing there like, WTF, right? Like, for real.
Yeah.
Like, that was on cue. And we're all, we're just like, what? Now, I don't care what I sound like, because I know it sounds crazy. It's batshit crazy. I realize, but it happened, right? It happened on cue. So that's why I'm on this show talking to you. When stuff like this happens over and over again, sure, I want answers, but it's because of that I am pursuing this. I know that there is something going on. I don't know what it is specifically, but that happened. And you have to back up and go, somebody winked at us. Somebody felt the vibrations come out. Wouldn't it be cool if we saw a UFO? Well, yeah. How about this?
Do you feel that I keep getting the sense that whatever intelligence this is, that it has an amazing sense of humor. And I feel like it's also playful. People talk about that, how they say the craft looks like it was playing with the jet, going around and doing all this stuff. And so when I hear that, when you guys say that, and when, Foley said that, and it shows up, I think it must take, I'd like to believe this anyway, that I must take joy in that. It must have enjoyed being acknowledged and validating that for you guys and creating that little show for you. It's like,
But you have to, that's such a great point. Like you in Silver Lake, was that for you? What was there reports on KTLA about triangle metallic objects over Silver Lake? I can tell you right now, there wasn't. But you saw it. Silver Lake, the heart of Los Angeles, you have around your home, around that hill, which is beautiful, by the way. I love that neighborhood. Getting a little gentrified, but there was a day when it was pretty bacchanalian, it was pretty. But anyway, there are millions of people there. Millions. Right? And how one would have to deduce that maybe it was just for you. Steve Murillo, fighter pilot, Navy, Naval Academy graduate, smart guy, successful. I really admire him and his intelligence. But that son of a bitch, every time I was around him, something crazy would happen. And he's so smart and so intelligent and carries himself. And I filmed him hang gliding, jumping off of cliffs. He is just an amazing, just super smart. But it's always crazy stuff happening with this guy. And he said to me once, this is the laughing, playful thing. Let me ask you about this. He goes, okay, so Jimmy, let's communicate with lasers. I go, what? He goes, right there, that thing that we're looking at the Big Dipper. Watch this. And I'm sitting there, and we're with a bunch of people, and I'm watching Steve, and he goes, boop. And it goes, boop, back. I went, okay. All right. Then he goes, boop, boop. And that friggin' thing goes, boop, boop, back. Boop, 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 boop. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. This is fun. You know, it's a paradigm shift, but what do you make of that? You know, is that them just playing like dolphins?
That's the third act of Close Encounters, isn't it? Hit a few notes and it hits a few notes back. It's a volley. It's a volley that's going on. That it's so weird because I've last time I had COVID, I hit on this idea for some reason of a sequel to Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And I actually wrote it. I wrote a sequel to Close Encounters on spec, just my own thing. And in doing that, I started doing all this research on the first one. And I read Bob Balaban's diary that he kept. I read all these books that I could on it. And I've seen the movie countless times. And everyone likes to say, well, he got all that information from J. Allen Hynek, which he did get a bulk. I mean, the name of it came from his Hynek's book. But there were intuitive things that were going on. The musicality thing, going back and forth, how they would do that, math and science. That was kind of inventive. Again, he was being used, I think. You know, Spielberg's got a new UFO film that's going to be coming out. Yes, I cannot wait. And so I feel like
Disclosure too.
Yeah.
That's the working title, but
yeah, I think what's going on is that there is this call and response thing. And I feel like that is going to continue going and we're going to get closer and closer. But sometimes it does this for a reason. A good buddy of mine who I had helped him doing color grading on his documentary. He does these great documentaries, Indian documentary filmmaker. He would make fun of me. You know, you're doing that. Why are you doing this, doc? Doing UFOs? You really believe in that crap? And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm curious. Absolutely. And then I didn't talk to him for like, I don't know, a year. And he calls me up and he texts me. He says, hey, dude, can we talk? And which was never the tone that he would ever take. And I go, of course. Yeah. What's up? And he goes, and he calls me, he says, I saw something. And right away, I'm like, yes,
got him. Right.
Got
right.
him. Yeah, and he says, it was 4 a.m. I was moving. I looked out the balcony, the new apartment that I moved into. It's funny. This conversation has many mentions of balconies. That's the theme here.
Yeah, right.
He's looking out and he sees this metallic shape at night, early in the morning, and it's moving along and it's got this blue light around it. He says it's gliding and it's about maybe, he's going to say 100 yards away from him, pretty close. And it's moving along, no sound at all. And then at some point, the blue flame light encompasses the thing and it takes off like it smeared the sky. And I said, oh man, I'm so envious. Good for you. And he goes, no, Dean, not good for me. I'm jacked up. That should not exist. He says, I'm thinking about going to therapy. It was ontological shock on steroids.
It's a paradigm shift. It changes your life. Yeah.
Right. And so I'm already kind of halfway there. So maybe I don't need a demonstration. Maybe that's what's going on, but I want more. You know, when we were looking at the silver metallic thing, at Silver Lake, I said to Allie, I go, babe, go home and get the binoculars. And she's like, I don't want to leave. I want to continue watching it. And I go, yeah, but I'm the UFO guy. So I can't go. Can you go get them? And she refused to go. It was a standoff. And I wasn't going to say, you go do this. She would laugh at me. But it was more of, it was for this moment. And so these moments that we get with them we should cherish those moments. But there was something that within that I wanted to come back to, which is, and you were talking about earlier, what is the commonality that we have with these beings? We can't intellectually comprehend the science of technology, but what is it that we have, that we share, and is the reason why possibly they show up?
DNA.
Curiosity.
Well, okay.
Curiosity in us.
It's woven into our DNA. Yes. No, I agree. There are so many things that are, when I say fundamental, that are basic. And DNA and RNA is just one of those things. Particles, atoms, things, molecules that make up everything from the stars all the way to you and I. Well, these are the common factors with ET too as well. So woven into that DNA are the same type, like we mentioned earlier in the show. We have an example of us. All right. So whatever we are doing, ET would have to have done it, is doing it, and will continue to do it. That's it. So curiosity, absolutely.
We don't get any advancements without curiosity. We get zero. It's not like it all of a sudden hits us. And people talk about fire, how man discovered fire. No, man did not. There was a lightning strike that happened. They saw it, and apparently, in the book *Sapiens*, we've had it, found it, then lost it, then found it again. It wasn't until we were able to recreate it did we have it, but we never all of a sudden rub two sticks and go, oh,
and figured it out.
Yeah. It was just part of the chemistry that came. But we are 4 billion years. Our planet's 4 billion years late to the game. So, as Michio says, they don't have to be 100 years older than us. They can be thousands. They can be millions, possibly a billion. So, we're looking at our future because we could get there. So I think that we need to look at it.
Do you remember the movie Quest for Fire?
Yeah. Ray Dong Chong.
Yeah, Ray Dong Chong.
Yeah.
Man. And that's exactly it. That movie changed me a lot.
Really?
Well, when you really think about it, the basic thing, like you just mentioned, fire, right? We don't consider, if you remember in the movie, right? So all he's trying to do is keep this thing alive, right? He's got the
Ron
bombs.
Perlman.
Yeah, that's right. And the flames in there. Remember when he's sinking in the quicksand?
Yeah.
And he's holding it, right? Keep the fire. And then they come up over the hill and they come to Ray Dong Chong's tribe. And all they've got is fire. Remember that? Remember that? It's everything. It's so great. A heart attack. He's having a heart attack. He's like, what? And they're just like, right? Cooking meat, right? It's such it really changed my perspective on things.
You never know what people are packing.
I want to go back to your point. Steve Murillo also came from this very pragmatic background, fighter pilot, went to work for TRW Systems after he got out of the Marines. He learned to be a pilot at the Naval Academy, then went into the Marines and became a Marine fighter pilot, right? But never saw a UFO. Okay? Never did. Didn't, nothing in his mind. He's on his rooftop in his hot tub in Marina del Rey, Hermosa Beach, that area, right down there. He's got a nice place and he's up on his roof. If you have a home on the beach in Hermosa and you have a hot tub on the roof, life is pretty damn good. Okay.
Yeah.
So Steve's up there and he sends his wife, Pat, who's lovely, down to get another bottle of wine or a bottle of wine. So he's sitting up in his hot tub and he's facing west over the Pacific Ocean. And a formation of black triangles starts coming at him from the ocean. And he sees the black dots. He doesn't know what they are. But he's just sitting there in his hot tub, right? Sunset. And they fly right over his house. and they break off formation. And he said, dude, it was a formation of black triangles. And I get out of the hot tub. I said, forget the wine, honey. Right. I've got to check this out. And he ended up going to a MUFON meeting because he's searching UFOs online. MUFON comes up. But that's what got him onto his journey, where he had that paradigm shift.
Yeah.
You know, when you're a fighter pilot, you are trained, you know, every aircraft in the world. That's your job, right? That's your job. And he sees this and he doesn't know what he's looking at. And that's the paradigm shift that I think has brought so many into this community. And when you have it for the first time, when you're not expecting it, that's a game changer, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the question becomes, why? Why are these people having these, you know, catalyst moments? What is the purpose of this? Because it's, I mean, I remember when ET came out, our Close Encounters, I remember going, okay, now's the time for the craft, the UFO, to land on the White House, because they're being represented as being these superior but yet benevolent beings, except for dragging little Gary Guffey out the doggy door. But now would be the time we could maybe handle that. Not in the 50s, where all the UFOs had aliens that were here to destroy the planet and everything and had 5 million eyes. But it hasn't happened. It's happened for a lot of people, personally, privately, but it really hasn't happened to the extent of everyone. And again, we have to kind of say, okay, what's at play here? And so sometimes it's the absence of evidence or the absence of things that we want to see that is playing a bigger role than what we see. Does that make sense?
Well, case in point is like 3-Eye Atlas.
Yeah.
And the reason why I bring that up in this context is that here we have something. We don't know what it is. It's hauling balls, right? Interstellar. We have 8 billion people on this planet that are probably aware of it. The media has done a really good job in social media, right? Keeping this thing out front. Everybody wants this to be ET. There isn't anybody that wants that to be a comet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why we're in a different space today, for sure, when it comes to this subject.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but what popped in my brain was the guys, Heavens, what were they called? The guys,
Heaven's Gate.
Yeah, they wore the Nike sneakers, because the aliens like Nike sneakers, apparently. They really wanted, you know, Halley's Comet to.
No, it was Hale-Bopp. Hale-Bopp.
Hale-Bopp, thank you.
Yeah,
Hale-Bopp.
yeah.
They really wanted that to be the mothership. But I don't know, it kind of feels like we've been educated with regards to that. No one is going to the extreme expecting that here comes the rapture. It's just, okay, what is this? Let's analyze this. Let's get some evidence on it. That's vastly different than maybe, you know, hundreds, thousands of years ago, where, you know, man would look up and see some weird thing and just think, oh, that's a god. He's pissed off, or, you know, something's coming. But yeah, it's, you know, I've got my popcorn, you know,
it's great, isn't it?
ready for it. Yeah.
It's great. I was at a Halloween party a couple of weeks ago for Halloween, and I'm sitting at this table with some two friends that I went with, but a table of new people, and the chef and the owner of the anyway, grouped people together, and we had assigned seats. The lady sitting in front of me, I'll say her name's Bree. Bree, if you're listening, you know exactly what you did to me. So she goes, so somebody says to her, you know, what I do. She leans across it. I don't know who she is. She goes, is 3-Eye Atlas a flying saucer? Right out of her mouth, Dean.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that. And everybody around jumped in on the conversation and had their take. And yeah, everybody wondered if it was confirmed. Like, did I have any secret information on it? Which obviously I don't, but I told them I think it's ET. I don't think it's something natural. It's not a comet. I'm convinced of that. But do you think it's ET? Everybody wanted it to be ET. I think that's why the attention is there. The attention is not there because it's a comet. The attention's there because they don't want it to be a comet.
The writer in me, the filmmaker in me is munching on this now, and it's saying, what if it's not? What if it's just a comet? Comet has, unlike an asteroid, a comet is very volatile. It reacts differently. There's gases, there's different temperatures and stuff. But what if everyone's desire for this to be a UFO and an alien, what if it creates that? What if it becomes that by virtue of all of us focusing intensely, our desires are manifesting? What if that changes it, shape everything? What if we're creating self-fulfilling, self-realizing this thing?
Isn't that the best
I have to
part
go now and go write this story.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, exactly. Isn't that the best part of this conversation? And we have to have open minds with this. Oh, I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want this to get away from me. Talking about Close Encounters. Have you seen the director's cut with the different ending
Of Close Encounters?
Yes.
Yeah,
When
the
he
one
goes
with
inside the craft.
Yeah. Horrible.
What?
Horrible.
I loved it. What?
Yeah.
Dean. Okay, the show's over. Have a good career. Good luck on your next film. Good talking to you.
I want my imagination to do some work. And
okay.
just like
All
just like in Psycho, I don't need to see the blade going into Vivian Leigh.
Right.
And so for me, I didn't want to see it because I had a version of it in my head. It
We all
didn't
did.
quite land for me, and Spielberg hates it. He only agreed to shoot that because he wanted to go back and finish editing because he had to rush that cut. And he also added where the ships are in the desert. He added the Gobi desert stuff.
Mhm.
So, I remember going back as a kid and seeing it and going, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. But there was something looking behind the curtain. I wanted the wizard to stay behind the curtain, I would say.
Sure.
Yeah.
We all did the same thing. The ramp with the lights, right? And everybody facing it and everybody coming. And you're like, okay, so what's in there?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And when I watched, which I own it, right? I own it. And
Sure.
I've watched it a few times and I've listened to Spielberg's comments about it. I liked it.
Did you like it?
I did. I liked it.
Did you like Temple of Doom too? Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom. Did you like that as well?
No.
Okay. All right. Good. So we do
Yeah.
have things that we can agree on.
No. Okay. I don't want to get sideways on this. But first off, I love Spielberg. Okay.
Yeah.
I love Spielberg. The best Indiana Jones is still the first one. And
100%.
yeah. And when
I got a chance to shoot set photography on Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And I got to see, that was insane. I'm dropping names here, but it was seeing Harrison Ford, Sean Connery, and Spielberg, 5 feet from me. I could barely focus. I mean, I was afraid everything was going to be a focus, but that's my second favorite is the Last Crusade. It's beautiful. The other two haven't really kind of worked, but the first one is sublime. It's action.
It's divine.
Comedy,
It's divine. It's divine. It's perfect. It's perfect.
comedy. Yeah. Sci-fi.
When I went to Spielberg's house in Zuma Beach, and this is what I've always loved the guy, but I don't know if he still has the house. I don't know if I'm giving stuff away or if it's private or I don't give a shit. But this is not an exaggeration. I go downstairs into his theater and he shows me his projector, which is like this. It looked like it was made of silver. I don't know. It was like nickel. I don't know how to describe it, but like machine tool, beautiful, like a Rolex, it's just like crazy nice. 70 millimeter projector but with this ginormous, I mean, like frigging Chinese theater screen, right? with the red velvet, curtain, the whole thing.
Curtains.
And then on both sides of the theater, it's massive. I don't know how many people you would put in there. 100 for sure. Video games and toys, like everywhere. His appreciation for the art starts there. It starts at home. This is a thing that is his soul. When he does, when you watch something like Super 8, of course, the big stuff, but even War of the Worlds, he has got a really, really, really deep commitment to this subject. I don't know if he knows the secrets. I don't know if he's been read in, but man, it really, to me, it just seems like he knows what's going on, and he's dealing with disclosure. And that's why I'm really excited about this film. Close Encounters was done in 1977, dealing with disclosure. And here we are in 2025, 40 years later, and we're not only still talking about that film, but that film hit it on every point, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And the thing that Spielberg keeps going back to the well to pull out is the magic of that communion between the beings and us, and how there's no real fear around it. But I mean, the thing is, he's influenced so many other filmmakers. You mentioned Super 8. Well, J.J. Abrams directed that, but he showed it to Spielberg. I'm sure he saw some of the earlier cuts. J.J.'s first job working in the business was cutting together Super 8 films, 8mm films that Spielberg made when he was a kid. He pulled all those together. And so I don't, without Close Encounters and E.T., I never made the McPherson tape. Contact doesn't happen. Arrival doesn't happen. It's, it's the greatest thing that a species can aspire to, which is meeting another species, whether it's more advanced or not. And the way that he's handled it with such awe, I'm chasing that. To me, that is the carrot that I dangle. It's, when I think about when I'm writing, I think about two things. One is, am I getting the awe inspiring, and am I thinking outside the gate, outside the walls? Am I pushing it like the Beatles pushed it? And the Beatles, again, perfect example. The Beatles were not classically educated. They couldn't even read music. And because of that, they were creating things that someone else would have said, oh, you can't do that. It can't exist. And that's where science has always made great headways, where someone just said, well, why can't we just do this? And then it comes. But getting back to Spielberg, I'm not here. I'm not in LA. None of this is happening without this guy. And so whatever was channeling into him, it's you look at how that affects everything. And so it's a ripple that has gone on for decades now. Has he been read in? I don't think so. I don't think that he's got any more, information than we do. I don't think that the current, I don't think that the administration are being read into all the details, because they're there for 4 years, 8 years maybe, then they go. But I think that what we're seeing, getting little glimpses and stuff, is we're getting confirmation of shit we've known for decades. So it's like, thank you very much, but can we now see the actual footage? And don't tell us that this footage, that is clear as day, by the way, is in any way going to compromise that technology, and that we could reverse engineer it from photographs and from video, because you would have done that. So don't give us that. And other countries have that as well. Just show it to us so we can look at it and see it and, be appreciative.
Yeah, don't hide behind national security.
Please.
God, it's just every time I hear. Well, let me ask. Talking about being read in. You've done enough interviews now, and I've watched your latest documentary. I've watched part 2 with Diana and Deep Prasad. I'm going to be with Deep tomorrow.
Great.
I've known Deep for a long time. I don't know, 12 years maybe. When I met him, he really was a kid. He's still a kid, but he was like, I don't even know how old he was when I met him. He was 18, 19 years old. But about being read in, with all of the interviews that you have done, is it your feeling that the people that you are talking to, and you're talking to the top of science and stuff, do you think that they are still 2 degrees removed, right? That they're still basing their stuff, they haven't touched a craft, they haven't been in a hangar, or have they? And is that the goal, to get one more layer down, closer to, you know what I mean, those individuals, like the CEO of Skunkworks?
Right. That's interesting. I guess what I keep coming back to is, you know, when you talk to the experiencers, there's 2 messages that they give to the experiencers. It's that you're screwing up your planet. So if you're not voting for anyone who doesn't endorse, you know, real significant climate change and getting, you know, the world back on course and respecting it, I don't know why you're in the UFO, you know, field at all. The second is your technology isn't helping you, right? But let's look at that. Your technology isn't helping you. If they have been giving us technology, then wouldn't it be their technology? And that they're saying that what we gave you isn't helping, but they don't say it. They say your technology. I find that fascinating. I find that, you know, at first I thought it was nuclear technology, but, you know, interviewing Ralph Blumenthal for this John Mack documentary, we talk about how maybe the technology is actually our cell phones, that it's the smartphones. Maybe it's that technology that isn't helping us, because it's, you know, already we're having a population decrease for the first time in history. Less people are having kids, you know? So if we don't have a big enough gene pool, we're going to be screwed, as Dr. Michael Masters says. And that's why he purports that they're coming from the future, coming back to get gene sampling so that they all don't end up playing the banjo, you know, looking like Deliverance. So I think with regards to people being 1 or 2 steps removed from the truth, we have to kind of define what that truth would be. Is it that we do have the technology? Do we have aliens that we're communicating with, that we're doing an exchange program? It's so murky. And, you know, I look for firsthand. I want the people that I'm interested, some of them I can't even put on camera. You know, talking to a young person who's in the Army, and he's telling me about flying over and seeing in the water a craft that is in international waters. They're trying to communicate. Nothing is happening. It will not communicate. So unfortunately, we decided to send a submarine, you know, missile at it. And he's watching this thing from a Black Hawk helicopter, seeing this thing coming, and it hits it. And it's like a lava lamp, he says, the way it kind of moves like this and becomes 2, and then it merges again, and then it takes off. And I said, how did that make you feel? And he goes, my feeling was just that this is something I've not seen before. And again, you couldn't see all of it because it was just shallow enough that you just saw the shape of it, which is really creepy as hell. But after a while, you watch this thing, you kind of fold in, you accept it. And he was at a young enough age that he was able to deal with it. Maybe someone who was older couldn't. But
right.
It's, yeah,
wow, that's interesting. It kind of, that reminds me a little bit. I'm glad you're in film and I live here. We can always use that comparison, but it's a good one to use. Remember when they fired the nuclear missiles at the ship in Independence Day, and the ship just swallowed them? Remember that?
Yeah.
It's like,
it just like deflected it, and then it absorbed it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's, you would think that, is it like when Spain invaded South America and, you know, facing the Incas that are, you know, spears and arrows, and they've got guns and cannons,
Yeah.
right?
Conquistadors. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And the Inca had they were just completely, they've never seen anything like that. And I'm wondering, yeah, missiles, technology, and everything else, but to an advanced race of beings, it would be like shooting arrows at them.
Well, imagine this. You've got someone who is shooting an arrow at you, and you're on a different timeline than the person who's shooting the arrow at you.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Right. So
Isn't
you see
it
this arrow
right?
coming, and you're like this, and I'll take it. Thank you very much.
Right. And that is a great point. And before we run out of time, let's stay right there. The reason why that's an amazing point is that no matter how we want to look at it, you've got to put everything aside. They understand everything about us.
Yeah.
Everything. There's nothing, you know what I mean? It's just we're so basic.
Yeah. And predictable.
Totally predictable. That has to be the only way to look at it, right? And why is it that, this is the point I wanted to make, that humans always defeat the advanced aliens with a Colt 45?
Right?
We
band
together. Yeah, we band together. We've been bombed into nothingness. We've got a little village in the woods in Yosemite, and we get our gun collection together and some Molotov cocktails, and we break down the ET communications network.
Force field. Well,
right.
I do dig War of the Worlds, but I don't dig the ending, which is, wait, let me get this straight. So they come here and they haven't shielded themselves from the germs from pigeon poop. It's
Have you seen the Ice Cube? Have you seen the new Ice Cube version?
No.
You haven't seen that?
Ice Cube version?
Ice Cube just made War of the Worlds. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The TV series.
No, it's a movie.
Oh, it's a movie. I started to watch some of it, but the effects were like,
oh, it's way cheesy.
Yeah.
So he's like in the CIA.
Yeah.
And it's all a social media. I don't want to give away. Go watch it. It's actually pretty good.
If you like it, I'll finish watching it. The other movie that just kind of is like, come on, is and it's a lot of people's favorite. So excuse me for this, but is Signs. So the movie Signs.
Love it.
Yeah. So the aliens come all the way here from wherever they're coming, and I don't dislike it because it is very similar to both of my alien movies. They come all the way here, but they're allergic to water, and none of them think to pack a raincoat. We need to do better as writers.
Is that lazy writing? Is that lazy writing?
That's lazy writing. That's really lazy writing. I mean, you come to a planet that's more than 3/4 water, and you don't think maybe I could do like a poncho or an umbrella. You're actually pushing me to come up with ways when I do another alien movie to defeat them in a whole new way that because it's the challenge. It's like, where would we come up with something beyond what they do unless we find a way to turn it against them that they have, something like that.
Well, Independence Day was so great.
Yeah, it was.
But Randy Quaid, and it was so good, but Randy Quaid and a biplane, right?
Yeah.
It's like, is that lazy writing? Is this really tracking?
Well, you're talking about the previous cut that they didn't use because they eventually put him in a jet. But the original cut, he actually took the biplane and went up and delivered. Yeah. Someone in the test audience, when they test screen, it went, yeah, I'm not buying it. You guys are going to need to reshoot that.
Oh, man. But then I watched something like, and we've got 60 seconds left. Arrival is perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
There's no lazy writing in that. Everything is done with brilliance and intention. From the very beginning of the movie to the end, very original in concept. great story and great cinematography and the DP on that throughout the whole thing and the special effects. Just
primo.
and do you wonder because I walked out of the theater when I saw that, and I thought somebody knows something. This is too original. This is too out there. It's
Ed Chiang wrote the short story, but that's our job. I mean, look at H.G. Wells. He wrote about rockets that had boosters and different sections. How did he know this stuff? Everything starts, they say, with science fiction before it becomes science. And so I think that that's just great, imaginative work. And at its best, which is what we're all shooting for, when it works, it feels like it's real, which is an accomplishment. It's a huge compliment that you gave them to do that, where it feels like this is resonating with me. Like maybe this is a precursor to something that could be real. So I don't know, but great movie.
What are you working on now? What's your next project?
I'm working on a sci-fi project. It's kind of like if you liked Ex Machina, it's like that, but it's with an alien. And so that, and I've got this thing that I want to shoot in Scotland, which is it's a vampire tale in Scotland. And so I need to get back to making some movies before I come back and do some more docs. But that's the next thing that I hope to be shooting is this alien thing, kind of taking what I've learned over the past 8 years and testing some of the theories I have.
Well, everybody, I want you to go and watch The Alien Perspective, which is part 1, and Life Beyond Earth, which is part 2. Those are out now. We've got Dean's website below and over on our website and throughout social media. Dean, I look forward to hanging out with you again, my friend. Great conversation tonight, and I look forward to our next one.
Thank you, brother. Peace.
Enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you so much, Dean.
Thank you.
Perfect night on the show, everybody. Dean Alioto. His links are below. Again, The Alien Perspective and Life Beyond Earth are absolutely amazing. So go and check them out. And with that, I'm going to wrap because I've got to jump on a plane first thing in the morning. I've got to go get some TV work done. I'll be back Thursday, and I might try to put something together for Friday night, and we'll just do a hangout. But I've got to go to work, so everybody enjoy your week. And I will certainly see you back here next Monday. But we'll do something special on Friday night. All right? All right. I will talk to you soon. This is Fade to Black. But for now, all I've got is Go Beckley Tappy. Up, up, up. There we go. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee Newman, and Michelle Freed. Special thanks to Bill, John, Dex, Jessica, Dennis, and Kevin. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music by Doug Aldrich. Intro, Space Boy. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2024 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Go Beckley Tappy.